Om Apyayantu mamangani Vākprānaschakshushrotramātho balamindriyāni ca sarvāni sarvam brahma upanishadam maham brahma nirakuryam mama brahma nirakarot अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. In this 8th chapter of the Chāndogya Upanishad, every time I think, let me go several sections ahead and straight away take up the story where teachings also come in a big way. The story of Indra and Virochana approaching Prajapati and the whole effort on their part to realize Brahman. That story is the most talked about portion of this 8th chapter. But every time I take a look at these sections before the story begins, believe me, I look at this section and say, no, this cannot be skipped. This is so good. Though there are only 3 mantras or 4 mantras, this section just has not to be skipped. It has to be shared, for there are such precious teachings here. That is how this evening here in India or this morning in the West, we are going to enter the 4th section of this 8th chapter. Ashtamasya adhyayasya chaturtha khandaha asmabhihi adya adhiyate. We will study, it will be studied by us. What is special about this 4th khanda? As we are going to present a title slide in a minute, it is about how anchoring in the pure self right away frees us of all sin, impurities, imperfections, and it won't allow any sin to come anywhere near us. The word sin is what is used in such sacred literature. In day-to-day language, in general secular circumstances, we may not use the word sin, but you see, you should understand it in a larger sense. That's what I often say when in the 3rd chapter of, not 3rd, where in Bhagavad Gita we have Arjuna asking, why does man commit sin? Papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojita. Why does man commit sin? Papam charati. There too I explain. Please don't take papa as one of those well-known killing a cow and such things. Even when we live in agitation and we cause agitation to others, that is sin. A sorrowful life, a miserable life, a life marked by conflict, lack of sleep, stress, etc., is mark of sin. So let's go to the first slide. That is the title slide, culled from the first mantra. And we shall examine that the Upanishad declares, that no sin can come near this self. Sarve pakmanaha ato nivartante. As though various kinds of sin were all set to enter our life, to enter our daily conduct. But if we are into contemplation on the pure self, that's how Vedanta can make a big difference to the quality of our living. If we contemplate upon our true nature, having studied Vedanta properly, otherwise it would become another mumbo jumbo exercise. You see how rituals will not have much effect if it is done mechanically. How bhakti also will not show its effects if it is done in a mechanical way. That applies to Vedanta also. If somebody simply speaks words, says some bombastic sentences, but really in his vyavahara, in her behavior, it doesn't show, then there is a big problem. So we are talking about those who actually see what it means to say, I am the pure self. Not like a parrot, but an intelligent sadhaka. Then, papmanaha nivartante. Sins that were coming towards us, take a roundabout and go back. And after all, this Brahma, which is called in figurative way, Brahma Lokaha, apahata papma. It is devoid of any sin. Brahma is devoid of any sin, and therefore there are two aspects here being touched upon. When we are into Brahma Chintana, if at all there was some sin in us, it leaves us. If at all any new sin were to enter into our life, it cannot. It goes away. I need not time and again draw a parallel with Bhakti Yoga, but a quick reference could be how in the 9th chapter of Gita, Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, Apichet sudurachara bhajate mam ananya bhav sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha Chipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat chantim nigacchati. If someone truly loves God, that love of God can transform her or his life. This is so similar. If someone contemplates upon Brahma, which is figuratively called Brahma Loka, Acharya Shankara says Brahma eva loka, Brahma Loka. It's not some ordinary sense of the word where there is a realm, there is a loka, where the Chaturmukha Brahma sits on a throne and so on. They are not relevant here. Let's see what Adi Shankara has to say about this. We'll take a quick look at a couple of sentences that Bhagavan Bhashyakara says as this section begins. You see, this section begins calling this Atma, which is one with Brahma, a bridge. Ataya Atma sa setuhu. It's a bridge to go from imperfection to perfection, from problems to the state of no problems. Shankaracharya says this Atma is being suggested for constant contemplation, and in the last mantra of this section has only 3 mantras. In the last section, especially Brahmacharya is prescribed, and it is Setuhu, it's a bridge which we explained already, and Vidhritihi. I'm giving some words from the first mantra, the portion not shown in the title slide. Vidhritihi is Vidharana, Dharana, Dharana is this society, the structure of all of us have been given some swadharma. All of us are given opportunities to express our swadharma. Those of us who do well, going by Shastra, going by right guidance, we perform well, we do our duties, then we are rewarded. Really speaking, those who walk the path of Dharma increasingly see that this world is not unfair or unjust. On the contrary, it is so fair, so just, and we are actually rewarded for the good things we do. So that vyavastha is held in place by this Atma. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi therefore begins Upadesha Sara with the line Karturajnaya Prapyate Phalam. It is all overseen by Karta, the Creator, God. So God, Brahma or Atma come together. And the first mantra also says, for the sustenance of this entire creation, this Brahma is the basis. Lokanam asambhedaya. Sambheda is the creation goes to pieces. Bheda. Asambheda. Creation to be in place is possible because of the grace of God. And then the part comes where we have taken a couple of words, put them in the slide, first slide. Before that even, na jara, na mrityuhu, na shokaha, na sukritam, na dushkritam, no sin, no merit, no old age, no death, no grief. None of these. They don't come to this Atma. So the mistake we are doing is we are not anchored in Atma, we are anchored in Anatma. There's a nice shelter, and somebody, rather than being in the shelter or under the shelter, is out and gets drenched by torrential rains. Why doesn't he go and take shelter? Likewise, why don't we, especially those of us who have been studying Vedanta for some years, why don't we take shelter in Brahma, for which or of which or about which we have already learned quite a bit? Chanchalam, manaha chanchalam. That's how Maharshi says in Saddarshanam, mati durbalatvam. Ahasputam tattvamasiti vedaha. Tatapya samprapya paratmanishtam bhuyo vicharo mati durbalatvam. Tatsarvada swatmataya hi bhati. There is a shloka. The Atma is ever shining in your own heart as your own nature. And yet, you are going into so many other issues of life, getting caught in unnecessary vyavahara transactions. Mati durbalatvam. So Shankara says this, and in this first slide, introductory or title slide, it is pointed out, the last part, Papmanaha ataha nivartante. No sin can touch us. There is some Subhashita which says, even if a very poisonous serpent goes up a sandalwood tree and goes 2 rounds around the branch of the sandalwood tree, stays there for a few days, you think the sandalwood will get poisoned? No, the other way around. After 2 or 3 days of staying over there on the sandalwood tree, when the snake finally comes down and moves away, the snake will be having the fragrant smell of sandalwood. Chandanam na vishayate. There is a saying. Like that, be chandana, be sandalwood by as much Brahmachintana as possible. In this session now, we go to the second slide, and In the second slide, the same radical transformation, deep transformation is praised. So let's take a look at the second slide. Yes. So there is just this slide. Of the three mantras, we have focused on the second mantra especially, which restates what was said in the first mantra: no sin ever comes near a person anchored in Brahma. It elaborates, and once more there is an interesting parallel. As you know, in the Dhyana shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yatkrupa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam. Here it is said in the second mantra of this fourth section, Tasmadva evam setum tirtva andaha san anando bhavati. Someone who is blind will begin to see. Viddaha san aviddho bhavati. Someone who was badly injured will become someone who has no injury of any kind. Upatapi san anupatapi bhavati. Someone who just a while ago had 104 degrees fever is perfectly back to normal temperature. Therefore, calling it a dam or calling it a bridge, calling it a structure, going upon which we get freed from all kinds of afflictions. The mantra also praises Atma Chintana, Atma Nishtha as something where night can be changed into day. Api naktam ahareva abhinishpadyate. Naktam is night and ahaha is day. After all, the last punchline of the mantra is Sakrit vibhato hi eva esha brahma lokaha. Brahma is after all ever shining. Sakrit at places means just once. Sakradapi ena murari samarcha we have in Bhajagovind. But in such context, Sakrit means at one go and never to end, never to come to an end. It is shining, shining, shining all the way. Brahma is such shine, just as in the analogy we say, there is no darkness in the sun. We believe Surya, the sun, heard about darkness and wanted to know what is darkness. In a story we share even with little children, Surya then says, I want to see darkness. They said there's a lot of darkness inside that cave. There's a lot of darkness behind this wall. There is a lot of darkness in that thick forest. But Surya went, the sun went to see. He could never see darkness. Likewise, when you are in Brahma, there cannot be blindness or being injured or having fever. These are the three examples given. Therefore, let me go back to the Bhashya and a couple of very inspiring lines. First of all, it is said, Tirtva, having crossed this Setu. Adi Shankara explains, in the present context, though the word Tirtva, Taranam Krutva is said, what it means is Prapya. If you, Prapya meaning if you get Brahma, if you get into Brahma, then miracles happen. You may say, does it mean that the Upanishads are talking about literal miracles? Literal miracles, of course, are possible. But the Upanishads generally are not so much concerned with the blind actually beginning to see, which actually can happen, but it is more about the inner absence of any incompleteness or sorrow. So where we have Anandaha Bhavati, Aviddaha Bhavati, and so on. So we again and again admit, don't we, that this Brahmajnana, for that matter, this Brahma itself, is beyond description. All these are certain pointers. Those who are very much interested in miracles may take them as referring to actual miracles. Those who are not interested in those physical miracles might pay attention to that deep inner change. So, as I said, this section highlights the supreme benefit, the supreme rewards from Atmajnana. Go for Atmajnana. You have everything. You go for everything else, but not Atmajnana, you remain incomplete. And as I had already hinted at, referring to some line in the beginning of the Bhashya, the third and last mantra of this fourth section of Chāndogya Upanishad's 8th chapter especially highlights spiritual seekers' need for rising above the pleasure pursuit. Let me read the third mantra for you. We have moved on from the second slide. Tadya evaitam brahmalokam brahmacharyena anuvindati. Tesham eva esha brahmalokaha. Tesham sarveshu lokeshu kamacharo bhavati. You see, after all, spiritual journey is a journey from being caught in matter to basking in the sunshine of spirit, matter to spirit. When you and I are attached to sense pleasures, we are coming to the lower level of matter. Acharya Shankara writes, what is Brahmacharya? In a larger sense, yes. Swami Chinmayananda used to say those days, even if somebody turns the television on, wanting to see some show for 10 minutes and then goes on and on 1 hour, 2 hours. So going beyond limits, getting enslaved by the television. These days, it is the internet, it is the gadgets, it is the WhatsApp videos, etc., etc. He said that is also violation of brahmacharya. But in certain contexts, great acharyas like Bhashyakara Sri Shankaracharya especially refers to attachment of a man towards woman or of a woman towards man. We see that here in the Bhashya. What is brahmacharya? Stri Vishaya Trishna Tyagaha. Brahmacharya is Stri Vishaya Trishna Tyaga. Or for a Stri, Purusha Vishaya Trishna Tyaga. The longing for the opposite gender. How is one to arrive there? Be steady, be regular in spiritual study. Shastra Acharya Upadesham Anu. Following devoted study of scriptures, devoted listening to competent teachers, Brahmacharya will be yours. Swatma samvedyatam apadayanti. More you are into Brahmacharya, more withdrawn from that slavish falling for pleasures, you become Swatma samvedyata apanna. That is, you realize, you experience, how nice I am, how peaceful I am, how naturally I am happy, I am happiness itself, and so on. Thus, I would, by way of concluding this evening's session, say that the Upanishads have a knack. The Upanishads have an elegant way of bringing various values, various tips on living a more mature life. They bring it interlaced with lofty pointers to the nature of Brahma. Brahma is untouched by sin, and Brahma is not affected by birth or death, old age or disease. This is one level. And in the same section, like now, the fourth section, Chaturtha Khanda, values like Brahmacharya are taught. And then rest of it is praise, Tesham Kamacharo Bhavati. So all the masters, all the saints say, if you live rightly, then so many problems which you earlier thought you had no capacity to deal with or meet with become peanuts. Swami Chinmayananji said very many times, talking about Brahmacharya, if somebody is into Brahmacharya even for, let's say, 2 years, he says that man or that woman becomes a power to reckon. That's an English expression, as most of you know. A force to reckon. That's the correct expression. A force to reckon. That means the fact that he has been living in Brahmacharya would, without any specific or special effort on his part, on her part, change situation so much. Whatever he says will have worth, will have weight, will have certain appeal. Whatever he does, whatever she does, will have such an impact on people. Even those people who come to this lady or this man thinking of scolding him or criticizing him or doing something bad, once they come near him or her, they just become quiet. All their plans dissolve away. That is what is meant by Swamiji using that English idiomatic expression or special phrase. A man who has lived in self-control becomes a force to reckon. He becomes a force to reckon. J. Krishnamurti also once said to a questioner who asked him, well, Krishnaji, all this philosophy is okay, but if suddenly we are going somewhere and suddenly somebody comes with a dagger, a big knife, how do we face him? Should we run or should we attack or what should we do? Krishnaji does not say run, does not say fight, he doesn't talk about how to handle it. J. Krishnamurti's answer is out of box. He says, sir, you are imagining a condition, somebody coming towards you with a dagger. Sir, have patience. We have been talking about living in alertness, living in awareness, living with certain gentleness. You do that and see, sir. He used to call even a young college boy, sir. You do it and see. If you live the way we have been pointing out, and after a couple of years, somebody with a dagger comes rushing towards you with all intention to kill you, you will do whatever will be right. There also, Krishnamurti is unique. He won't describe the externalities. I would connect it with the mention of Brahmacharya here. If you have been living in alertness, awareness, where the right approach to pleasure and power and position, etc., automatically happens. Because Brahmacharya on a higher definition level is Brahmani Charati iti Brahmacharya. The word Brahmacharya has many meanings. At some place Adi Shankara calls it Gurukula Vasaha. Living with a teacher in the Gurukula. That's the simple definition. And you know Brahmacharya is a stage in human life. Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. So Adi Shankara does a splendid job here by saying this Brahmacharya is a great sadhana towards Brahmanishta and be in Brahma and see miracles happening on their own without you are putting in specific planned effort. You don't have to do an MBA to manage your life. Be anchored in love of God. 1,000 MBAs will work under you. Mata Amritanandamayi did not do MBA or BSc, MSc, BCom or any of those. She went only up to 4th standard. Mata Amritanandamayi. But anchored in love of God, PhDs, double PhDs, very erudite, very scholarly, highly qualified people are at her feet taking orders. Yes, Amma, we will do as you say. That's how it goes. So it's not just bookish knowledge. We see examples, we see illustrations, we see case studies. Therefore, I would say this fourth section once more inspires us to seek Brahma Vidya and to do whatever is necessary for attaining that Brahma Vidya. Let me pause here. Om Namah Paramarashibhyo Namah Paramarashibhya.